Hello, this is Reverend Dave wishing you well during this unsettling and unfamiliar time of lockdown. I pray for God's strength as you cope with the restrictions. Today is Maundy Thursday and the first day of the Triduum leading up to Easter morning. I'm going to restrict my talk to foot washing and in particular the significance of Jesus washing his disciples' feet at the Last Supper. I urge you to read the passage from the Bible. You will find it in the Gospel of John, chapter 13, from verse 1 to verse 17. Foot washing in biblical times was a common practice. When a guest arrived at someone's home, it was the done thing to wash the guest's feet. This was done for very practical reasons. The guest may have journeyed a long distance on a dirt road. It stands to reason that the feet would have been very dirty, dusty, possibly muddy, and in all probability the poor person's feet would have been very tired and sore. It is also possible that the host wouldn't want someone walking around the home with very dirty feet. So the guest's feet would be washed. But, and this is an important bit, washed not by the host, but by a servant. It was regarded as something to be done by a lowly person, not by someone of high standing such as the host. If there were no servants, the children would have washed the parents' feet. And what should have happened with Jesus is that the disciples should have washed the teacher's feet. So imagine the scene. The disciples would have been reclining on couches or mats, probably in a U shape radiating out from Jesus, with their heads facing inwards. Jesus stands up, takes off his robe, wraps a towel around his waist, pours water into a basin. The disciples realize that Jesus is going to wash their feet. They are shocked. Jesus has reversed the social order. Jesus, the teacher, has taken on the menial dress and function of a servant. Then Jesus starts to wash the disciples' feet. Remember that one of those whose feet Jesus washed was Judas himself. This was a model of unbelievable love, to wash the feet of the very one who would send him to his death. So Jesus continues to wash the feet, but Peter protests. The others were probably in stunned silence. Disciples were expected to serve their rabbis, not the other way around. Peter does not feel that it is right for the teacher to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus' reply is that unless they accept Jesus acting in the servant-like manner, they will not have an example to follow. Jesus expects the disciples to behave in a servant-like manner, serving others. And on a deeper level, the act of foot washing by Jesus symbolizes his sacrificial death for them and us, and his cleansing of our sins. So let's hear how John puts it in his Gospel, chapter 13, verses 12 to 17. After he had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example, that you also should do as I have done to you. Very truly I tell you, servants are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." And of course this applies to us as the modern disciples as well. We are expected to follow Jesus' example and serve others. Now it's the tradition on this Maundy Thursday that the clergy wash the feet of members of the congregation, and this is to remind us that we need to follow the example of Jesus and serve. In some churches, just 12 selected people have their feet washed to represent the 12 disciples, but at St. Mark's we prefer to wash the feet of all those who choose to come forward during the service, and most do come forward. Tonight we are going to miss out on that foot washing, but of course there is nothing to stop you from washing each other's feet, those who are at home with you. We may be missing out on the symbolic act of foot washing, but we do not miss out on the meaning of that symbolic act. Jesus sets the example. He lived a life of service, taking on the role of a servant and serving others. It is up to each of us to follow this example by putting others ahead of ourselves. In this way, we are growing more and more like Jesus, which brings us closer and closer to God. During this lockdown period, keep your focus on Jesus. Follow his example and keep safe. Remember to carry on with social distancing and sanitizing. Keep in touch with family and friends through social media. God is in control. All will be well. So God bless you as you prepare for Good Friday and the joy of Easter morning. Amen.